On implementing smart glasses in business. Our session today will start with insights from Tuong Nguyen on the value that augmented reality provides. A panel session with CEOs from Metaio and DAQRI. I'd like to introduce Tuong Nguyen. Tuong is a Gartner Principal Research Analyst based in Virginia. Tuong advises IT leaders as well as CMOs on deploying augmented reality solutions and integrating AR technology into enterprise. Let's welcome Tuong.
Thank you, Angela. So I wanted to take this opportunity to preface the panel that Angela will be hosting momentarily with a couple ideas. And what better place to do it than at AWE, and what better venue than at a place where we'll be discussing the future possibilities for augmented reality. And so I thought it would be a good opportunity to lay a foundation to promote thought, discussion, as well as innovation around augmented reality and what the value is. So one of the biggest challenges that I see our clients facing when they come to me asking about augmented reality is, what exactly is it? And there are a lot of things or many ways that we can discuss it and describe it. You know, we can talk about it academically, in technical terms, but what I boil it down to for our clients is basically AR bridges your digital and physical worlds. And what do I mean by that? So there's a lot of digital information out there in terms of your contact list, web searches, social networking information, information you get from websites and retail stores on the web. It brings all that information together, and it marries it with people, places, and things. And I think that's really the simplest way to look at what augmented reality is, to really understand what the value is in AR. And so now that we understand what it is, I think the next step is to frame it in a way that is useful for all the companies out there that are looking to implement AR within their business. And there are a number of different ways to do it, and I've listed a few of them here. Just as a quick note, none of these are mutually exclusive. They are just kind of ways to spotlight what AR is, to help people frame it just in their minds and get a grasp around what AR is. The first way to do it is as a hardware taxonomy, right? This is basically all the sensors that are brought together with AR and how AR brings it all together to help you. The second way you can look at it is in terms of the target audience. Who are you looking to help with AR? Are you going to be using it internally as a tool for your employees? Or are you going to be using it externally as a customer client-facing tool? And then the third thing you want to keep in mind, the third way you want to look at it, is as enabling technology. So it's not just a standalone technology that kind of sits by itself and you say, well, this is what AR, and it does this specific thing for this specific person in this specific role. It actually enables a number of other technologies that we are all well familiar with. So let's start off real quick with just the hardware side of things, right? Right now, we have all these sensors that are literally sitting inside your pockets. And there are a number of great things that can be done with them. There are all these functionalities and all this information that it's gathering. And really to leverage AR to its fullest, you want to look at the sensors that are available to you and what you can do with it. And I'll give you a quick example just to give you an idea. So you have gyroscopes, accelerometers, and image sensors. And one way you can leverage that is, you take pictures, take an awkward selfie of yourself. That's one way to do it. Another way you can look at it is you can use those same sensors and use it for visual recognition. And now you have expanded the use of the sensors that you already have. Same way with any of the other sensors that you're thinking of, right? NFC, Bluetooth beacons, and the like. You can use those as retail, which is a common use that we've all seen, or it can also be used to supplement things such as indoor navigation. But hardware isn't the only way that you can think about AR. Another way you can think about it is which audience, who your audience that you're trying to bring value to is. Again, similar to the other slide, this is not mutually exclusive, right? So you can use AR to bring value to internal customers. And so that would be in terms of a tool for your employees to use to make their jobs easier, right? Facilitate one of their goals, make it easier, make it safer, make it better. Similarly, it can also be an external-facing AR solution. This is one that I think many of us are quite familiar with, right? Using it in terms of engaging your customers, entertaining them, just ways to get your customers to engage with your brand, your store more. And just to give you a few examples of some of these, we have external AR, right? The first example there you see on your left is for use in retail. Second one, hopefully what we'll see in the future is a heads-up display that's not quite that cluttered, but you get the idea. It's for travel and navigation. I certainly hope I won't be driving next to someone who's getting that much information all at once on their windshield. And then the third one, you have an example from Wikitude in terms of using AR for gaming and entertainment. And then as far as internal facing goes, you have a couple examples there from Apex Labs. Top left is in the healthcare medical environment, helping your doctor to notifying him of relevant, interesting information that is concerning your health. The other one is in a storehouse logistics setting. And the third one at the bottom there is one from Metaio for the training and maintenance. The thing I want you to take away from these slides is that, one, it's important to understand who your audience is. Although, regardless of it being internal or external, the important thing is knowing who you're going to bring the value to, and two, what value are you bringing to them? And then the final thing I wanted to talk about is, so not only can you think about it in terms of hardware, not only can you think about AR in terms of who the audience is, but I think it's important to realize that AR as a solution is not a standalone one-off solution. It actually enables a number of other technologies out there. For example, digital business. So Gartner defines digital business as the creation of new business by bridging and blurring both the physical and digital worlds. And if you'll remember in my beginning slides, that's very similar to how I describe or distill AR down for many of our clients. The idea here is that it's different from e-commerce and digital commerce in that it is digitizing the world around you, leveraging the things, which essentially in this case is the sensors, the devices, your phone, your tablet, bringing it together and creating new business models to further improve your business. But this isn't the only thing that AR can enable. Something a little bit more familiar to everybody is Internet of Things. So the idea here is we're living in a world, or we will be living in a world, where it will be a network of things, as the name implies, and they are all connected. They all have sensors that monitor their internal and external states, and they tell you about it, what's going on within them, as well as what's going on around them. Now, that's a pretty cool idea, but you have to keep in mind that not everything is going to be connected and be wired. For example, your dog. You know, maybe, maybe not. I saw some cool things at CES earlier this year that, you know, you can connect your dog, but for the sake of argument, let's say your pets aren't connected. Another thing, people, plants. And what I'm thinking here is, and how AR extends Internet of Things is, for example, let's say I'm out in the wilderness and I am looking at a plant. I'll assume that that plant is not connected to the Internet of Things. But I want to know, is this plant dangerous? Is it going to give me a rash? Can I eat the fruits off this plant? And in this particular instance, I'm thinking of a solution such as using visual recognition, right? So IoT does not apply here, but AR is extending that functionality to all the things in the world that won't be connected, that won't be part of the Internet of Things. And then the final one that I wanted to talk about is how AR can enhance cognitive computing. So where we're at now is we are in the see-me stage. So what that means is we are able to deliver information about things like what you saw in the previous slide, in the IoT slide, to consumers like yourselves. The next stage we want to come to is the know me stage. So not only do we have this information available to us, but it's delivering it to me in a timely fashion, and on top of that, in a relevant and actionable way for me. So maybe I'm walking down the street, and using AR, it notifies me that, hey, the shop down the corner that you can't physically see at the moment, but it is right there around the corner, is selling your favorite hot dogs. And it's very hard for you to find those hot dogs for some reason or other. So just kind of that intelligence that brings us one step closer to things like virtual personal assistants. And so the point of these three slides is really that AR is not just a standalone solution. It extends many of the other solutions that we may already be using within our businesses. And so just to wrap it up, because I know we're running short on time, got a few takeaways for you here. You're free to read those on your own leisure. I'm not here to read to you, but we can certainly do that at another time if you'd like. But the point that I wanted to make here is that augmented reality is not a strategy within itself. It is part of a business strategy to improve your business. And so the point is, every business is looking for ways to either increase their revenue or save money. And when you're looking at augmented reality, that may or may not be the solution for you. But either way, what you should understand is what augmented reality is and how it can help your business. And again, maybe it will help your business, maybe it won't. But if you're able to frame it using the steps that we've talked about today, I think that will bring a lot of value for augmented reality and help develop many of those great opportunities that I believe that will come with augmented reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Tuong.
Thank you, Angela.
Now on to the panel discussion phase. I'd like to welcome up to the stage Thomas Alt of Metaio. Please come up. And we have Brian Mullins of DAQRI. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So this is a wrap-up session. I'd like to hear some of your key takeaways and the highlights that you found at the show this year.
Yeah, I'll probably start. Great commercial interest. Actually, for the first time, I'm seeing that at AWE. It's also a very good sign how the market is maturing. We had great contacts. There are a lot of people who are interested in deploying augmented reality in all different verticals, and all in all, great show. And thank you for organizing it.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that. I've been involved with Expo since it was just a couple hundred people, and to see it grow and mature into thousands, that's exciting in and of itself. But to see, I think for the first year, customers to come to the Expo that were already educated about the space and had already made budget provisions and were ready to make purchases, that's really exciting. I think it's a great indicator for the whole industry.
The money's coming. And certainly when we're looking at changes that have happened in the industry over the past year, what are some of the ones that you've seen?
Well, I think, as with every year with augmented reality, new bars get set with the technology, and it's influenced by a lot of things. The software and the hardware all take these great leaps forward. They set a new bar, and then we can do more. And I think that, again, as it is every year, one of the most exciting things is to see these new applications emerge that we knew we could do, but now we can do them very robustly, very reliably, so people can get the value and have a reliable user experience. I think really the growth in the industrial sector, which continues and continues to be the strongest vertical for augmented reality for us, is the most exciting part of that, because people are realizing that with what's possible today, you can solve some very valuable problems.
Yeah, and to add to that, from a technical point of view, it's very interesting to see how people like Intel, for example, are discovering augmented reality and now building their complete offering in the space, and also give us, as software developers, at least primarily, the ability to really enhance the computer vision part and make it a seamless user experience on mobile devices. And this is, in my view, which was long needed in the space, that we are actually getting the compute cycles we need implemented to do seamless augmented reality.
And those are compute cycles in the cloud or on the devices in your hand?
Well, we're actually seeing a dual approach to that problem for the foreseeable future. There will be some things in the computer vision pipeline which will always be done on the device, and it will leverage by a cloud offering, essentially, which enhances the visual search part of augmented reality. And this dual approach will stay, in my view, for the foreseeable future. At some point, of course, I mean, Moore's Law and all, we'll see all the visual search and all the computer vision tasks to be performed on the mobile devices. And in that respect, in my view, coolest takeaway from AWE this year is really the advent of RGBD sensing, and how RGBD sensing will change the complete landscape for augmented reality and computer vision.
For those who might not be up on RGBD sensing, what is that?
It's basically a camera which gives you a footprint of the real world in very colloquial terms. So essentially what you're getting for every pixel value, you're getting a depth value. And in computer vision, you can nicely leverage that to build things like automatic occlusion handling, for example, but also very stable, very robust, very reliable tracking, indoor navigation, all kinds of applications, gesture control, and so on and so forth. And it's essentially a complete new sensing capability, which, in my view, will revolutionize the space in the next upcoming years.
Mm-hmm. What I'm seeing for the image recognition demand is coming a lot from field service companies. They have their technicians out there in very new types of situations, seeing all different types of equipment, and just being able to label things, to have your augmented reality realize and then tell you what it is. I was wondering, Brian, you mentioned that the vertical industries are strong for you. What do you see as most important over the last year?
Well, I think that what you mentioned is a really valuable use case where you have these field force engineers that they go out and they service a wide inventory of equipment. And really getting them the information that they need in the right context is one of these things that's really the low-hanging fruit and the high value. It creates almost what we call an instant expert system, where you can take someone who is maybe they're an apprentice level versus a experienced or master craftsman that doesn't have the breadth of experience, but if they can tap into the expertise in the context, they can do a lot more and really realize their full potential. I think it's a really valuable application. We even boil it down a little bit more simply. At DAQRI, we've seen two components of industrial applications that are the highest value and the highest level of robustness. The first is reducing the time to productivity, and that's a lot of times a worker approaches a task. They do that several times a day, maybe 20 times a day in between each step when there's a break and when they come back to the work. And today they'll look at a design package that may be 20 pages, or a work instruction that could be 200 pages, and that's not an exaggeration. And it can take several minutes to get up to speed on just answering the question is, what's the next step and where do I do it? And so if you can reduce the time it takes them to get productive by giving them that reference and showing them where the next step is, you can potentially save in a single worker an hour of productivity every day, which if you look at the bottom line, that's a tremendous value. The second one, which is equally simple, but it's also very elegant, is a lot of the errors in manufacturing. A huge percentage are related to orientation. I've inserted a seal backwards. I put something together wrong. Think of it as the industrial equivalent of the IKEA bookcase, where you put the back on backwards, but you don't notice until 2 steps later, and you've got to take it apart again and put it back the right way. I think we've all done it, but imagine when those pieces are welded together and the crews are on different shifts, and then you have to do the rework. It's very costly, and if you can show an orientation reference, which is a very simple application of AR, it becomes very, very valuable in reducing the costs of mistakes.
Right. I've seen a lot of client interest in something very simple, but what you are talking about is a checklist that you can see through your heads-up display, and it gives you step-by-step instructions as you need them when one step is continued, and that's a combination of image recognition, computer vision, and augmented reality. So when we think about these future types of applications, what areas do you think really need the most investment to move the AR industry forward?
In my view, it's engineering. That's the good news, right? So the research days are over. Well, they're not over, but we have achieved something, right? In that space, there are productive applications out there. You can leverage existing SDKs. You can build application, what you just said, but also all kinds of marketing application, all kinds of niche applications. What's missing is a lot of engineering, not research, in spaces like more robust tracking, as always, and I elaborated a little bit on how RGBD tracking will change the world, but also in spaces like better rendering quality. So essentially, for example, taking the light situation around you into account to actually render these virtual objects. Last but not least, if we are serious about actually deploying head-worn devices, we need a complete new level of interaction technologies in order to interact with these virtual worlds, augmented worlds. And we have shown one prototype, what we are working on, without any marketing, any sales pitch, that's coming later. We have built a prototype where we are basically using a thermal camera. And with this thermal camera and a tracking device, you can touch any object in your real environment and interact with that. It's a researcher idea. It's at least, for the Gartner analysts, 5 to 10 years out there, so write it on your hype cycle. It's on the left side, not on the right side on the hype cycle. But it is one of these ideas how this interaction technologies are actually something which is not too much developed right now. So 3 spaces, better tracking, more realistic rendering, and better interaction technologies.
Right, the user interface is key. So you were talking about thermal tracking. We had a theater talking about gesture recognition. I was talking with another gentleman about eye tracking. And what I found interesting this morning in Sean White's presentation was he kind of broke out some steps that are key for designing a user interface. And one of those was micro interactions. And what he was talking about there was taking the whole process of using a device and using the AR and all the different steps you take in doing so. You know, putting on the glasses and then doing a command. And if any one of those steps takes longer than you would think it would, it can really mess up the whole user experience and put people off. And I've found some of that in the way that we're doing marketing with AR and the QR codes, and you have to take the device and download an app. So Brian, where do you see the future of that going?
Sure. What you're talking about is really the experience friction. What it takes to start an experience, get it in the right context, get the right information. I think that there's been a really great amount of progress on that, and it'll continue to improve. But the real friction is actually not at the point that the user experiences it, like you would think, of starting the device and seeing the experience. It's really when you create the experience and having a workflow so that you can make these experiences or these work packages the thing that's going to make the augmented reality be really actualized. And to date, one of the biggest challenges has been while we have a good base in the tracking technologies, and I completely agree in the areas where improvement will really drive the industry, the problem's been that the population that can create the experiences is too small. Having a requirement for a really technical workforce, mobile programmers, which are a subset of the programmer community at large, which is already hard to staff with. These workflows need to tap into organizations' existing resources, the designers, the engineers, and when I say that, the mechanical engineers, the electrical engineers, the maintenance engineers. These people need to work with tools that work with their existing workflows so that when I need to do a maintenance routine, the guy that's already there, whose job it is to make a work package on paper or by printing CAD drawings, needs to be able to pick up a tool and make one in 4D so that the user can see it in their space when they're doing their work. I think that's really where the friction gets created, is not getting the packages, not the people not being able, the right people not being able to create those in the first place. So I think that's, as we look forward, something that a challenge that really needs to be addressed so that this can become ubiquitous.
Excellent. So I do want to leave some time for audience questions, but before that, I would like to ask a future question. So looking ahead 5 years, where do you see the biggest opportunities for augmented reality? What do you think, Thomas?
That is a very good question. Let me think about it. So essentially, I agree with what was said earlier. Augmented reality is not a self-standing technology. It never has been and never will be. It's an add-on feature to existing problem solutions in the IT world. So there is no system, in my view, which will do an automotive repair job with augmented reality only in the future. There are apps out there who leverage augmented reality, computer vision, to support them in their specific use cases. So to boil it down, in 5 years, we will see a massive adoption of augmented reality technologies. And in reality, we are already seeing them right now. But nobody will do augmented reality just for the augmented reality sake. And we see when we speak to our developer ecosystem, we always relay this message by saying, guys, don't promote even apps as augmented reality apps. Do useful apps which leverage augmented reality.
It's a great point, and I would actually extend the analogy to something even simpler to understand. Take YouTube and videos. The real value of YouTube videos is that you can see them anywhere as part of other content or rolled up an entire set of content that is relevant to the user. If they could only exist as an island in the YouTube app, you wouldn't have the proliferation. It wouldn't have the value of that video platform. And I think that the augmented reality technologies are the same way. They have to be rolled up with traditional mediums, traditional sets of content, that are most appropriate for that context. I think that, kind of adding it to what we were talking about, wrapping up the event, the direction that I see that's most interesting is around head-mounted displays as a platform for experiencing it. It's not a new topic. I mean, since day one of this event and the industry as a whole, we've always speculated as how great it's going to be when we have displays on our head that let us do these things hands-free all the time. But to get the augmentation in context, hands-free is only one piece. That still also has to be a great platform for ingesting traditional content streams to wrap it up into a full value proposition.
Wonderful. Yes, what you're talking about reminds me of what Dr. Ishii was talking about from MIT Media Labs this morning. He was really looking at the future of computing as being a seamless interaction between humans and the digital world. And augmented reality is a key user interface to making that happen. We do have a few minutes left for questions. Why don't we take the time to thank our panelists. We have Thomas Alt from Metaio. And we have Brian Mullins from DAQRI.
Thank you.
Our lady with the microphone is down there. Please raise your hands. It's hard for me to see out there with the lights.
Hello. Brian, you were talking about the friction of the authoring of the AR content being a major hold-up to its adoption, parallel to like YouTube levels of consumption and production. So would you say it needs the actual, say, if it is a head-mounted display, if that could operate as a performance piece as much as a viewing apparatus, would that get the kind of market penetration you're looking for? Like,
yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And what I take from the question is that he's asking, can the content be created in the medium itself, with these first-person views? The answer is absolutely yes. And that's what will allow these things to be made, in the context of where the work's going to take place by people with different skill sets. I may be an expert at this specific activity, and if the tool is simple enough and I can look at the thing and do my markups and my layout there, that knowledge can be transferred to someone who comes next and has the benefit of the same tools. I think that'll absolutely address what the industry needs for content creation. And it'll really be a combination of advancements like that with traditional modes, and as well as the ability to use APIs to script in vast amounts of quantity and connect them with their metadata and put them into the right context so that I can get to books, video samples, as well as specifically crafted AR experiences.
Thank you. Other questions?
Why do you guys think Facebook bought Oculus, and how has it changed what you do?
Thank you, Brenton. That is a good question. Actually, I don't know. I'll speculate. So essentially, there's definitely something true about that virtual worlds, virtual reality, augmented reality have a vast potential to change the way we interact with digital content. And I guess, being in the space of essentially having a whole lot of content, and this is definitely what Facebook's in, it makes sense to connect this content with new distribution channels for content. And I'm no expert, and so I don't know, but I'm assuming that the general strategic thought for this is to essentially populate Facebook content in different ways in augmented and virtual worlds, if you ask me. But I answered you the question on Saturday already.
It's a great question, and I think it's undoubtedly great for the industry. VR and AR are certainly cousins, from very similar from a tech standpoint, from the components inside. Very different storytelling. As far as motive, I'll actually tell a story. I was at South by Southwest right before I heard the announcement, and I remember the line to see the Oculus exhibit for Game of Thrones was really long. I thought maybe Mark didn't want to wait in line and thought he'd just buy the companies to get the demo. But I think, joking aside, I think that there's a lot of value in virtual communities when you think about social networks. I think it's a safe bet that we'll have a lot more virtual, both fully immersed VR and augmented reality in the future, and it'll be a place that we learn where we play, where we conduct business, and to get in front of that is, I think it's a great play.
Well, actually, I wish we had time for more questions, but we have reached our limit. You'll be able to talk with Thomas and Brian right after the session if you would like to. Thank you very much for joining us, and we do have the next speaker. Thank you, Ori.
All right, another round of applause. Thanks very much.